today's video, I'll cover ego-centered parenting versus awakened parenting. Hi, this is Salimah of SalimahHaji.com, and if you're looking to build a life in alignment with your soul, then you're in the right place. So I wanted to make this video today because the impact of an ego-centered parenting is so detrimental to the child as they become adults. So I wanted to just go through these 8 points that you should keep in mind if you're a parent, and make sure that you're not raising your children and being an ego-centered parent. It's much better for your child as they become adults to be parented by someone who's awakened. So let me cover these 8 points and the distinguishing factors between ego-centered versus awakened. Number one, an ego-centered parent is focused on their own needs and their own desires and their own reputation, and they make sure that the children behave the way they want them to behave to fulfill their needs, their insecurities, their own wounds that they never worked on, then get inflicted on the children. However, an awakened parent is more child-centered parent. They understand, take the time to hear, understand, see, and accept their child, and they are open to raising the children based on that individual soul that's in that body. So it's not focused upon their own needs. It's child-centered. So the child dictates how the parent treats them based on their soul and its reason for being here. The next one is an ego-centered parent is controlling, because they want the child to behave the way they want them to behave so that their reputation is protected. So they will make sure that the child does what they want them to do so they can look good in other people's eyes. While an awakened parent will empower their children to be true to themselves despite what everybody else says about them. So they will let them figure out who they are and why they're here and fulfill their purpose instead of fulfilling their parents' purpose, because that's not the reason why that child is here. The next one is an ego-centered parent has expectations. Again, based on their own needs, their own desires, they expect their children to do whatever they want them to do, or what they didn't get to do in their life, or protect their reputation. While an awakened parent accepts the child the way they are, accepts that this is an individual soul that's on a journey and is here to learn, to grow, to serve, and that it may here to teach you something. Just because it's in that little body, that does not mean that it's beneath you or it's subservient. All souls are equal. The next one is an ego-centered parent is authoritarian and communicates that way, that you are to be seen, not heard, meaning I am the parent, so I am superior than you, versus an awakened parent who is compassionate towards the child and again understands that it's a soul with a body. Both of you are souls with a body. You are to teach your child, but you are to learn from your child as well. It's equal soul relationship. One is not superior over others. Of course, as a parent, it's your role to guide the child age appropriately, but there's also openness to learn from your child as well. There's nothing wrong with you learning from your child. The next one is an ego-centered parent is distracted with their own issues, their own needs, their own insecurities, their own self-esteem issues, and they affect their children with those expectations and distractions. While an awakened parent is present, they are spending time with the children, they are communicating with the children, they understand their child, and they are present when they are with their children. So they are more able to hear, understand, see, and accept the child because they know who their child is. The next one is an ego-centered parent feels superior and feels that is more important because it's in the parent body, versus collaborating with the child, learning from the child, hearing the child, being compassionate that it's a soul that's here for a purpose, instead of just saying that I'm in the parent body and I'm in charge. The next one is an ego-centered parent imposes values, their own values on them, versus an awakened parent who allows the child to celebrate their own unique values that they have, because those values are essential for them to fulfill their purpose. So they're open to exploring what the child's values are and how it would impact their purpose. The next one is that the ego-centered parent pressures and tries to manipulate the child to follow their course of life, their way of living, their way of accumulating titles, their way of sacrificing things for the status, their way of accumulating bigger and better things throughout life, versus an awakened parent who raises emotionally intelligent child, teaches the child that it's a soul with a body, that it has the wisdom and power to fulfill its purpose, that it's here to fulfill a purpose, that it's powerful, that it has wisdom within it, it's come from its creator, which is very powerful. Teaches the child to be emotionally independent and not be affected by whatever happens on the outside, teaching them how to tap inward, teaching them how to be mindful, teaching them that they are soul, the qualities of the soul, which are love, peace, purity, divinity, wisdom, power, joy. Those are the natural way of living, because they are a soul with a body, and that what happens outside by someone else, whether it's a person, situation, circumstances, they don't have power over them. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe so you can be notified of videos I make every Wednesday. And let me quickly cover these again. The difference between an ego-centered versus awakened parenting. Number one, the ego-centered parent focuses on their own needs, their own insecurities, their own issues, their own wounds, versus the child's own needs, the child's views, the child's perspectives, the child's purpose. The next one is an ego-centered parent is controlling, versus an awakened parent who's empowers their child. Ego-centered parent they have expectations for the child to fulfill their needs, whatever they want their child to do, versus an awakened parent who's accepting of their child and for their path that they're here to fulfill and the purpose. An ego-centered parent is authoritarian when they communicate, versus awakened parent who's more compassionate and is able to accept the soul for its value and know that it's an equal soul to them. An ego-centered parent is distracted with their own needs, their own insecurities, their own way of living, versus an awakened parent who's present with the child and spends times with the child and appreciates the child. An ego-centered parent is hierarchical when it comes to relationships. They feel that they're superior because they're in the parent body, versus awakened parent who collaborates with their child because they understand that it's an equal soul that might be here to teach them something. An ego-centered parent imposes their own values on the child, versus awakened parent who allows their child to have unique perspective and unique values based on their experience. And ego-centered parent is pressuring and tries to manipulate the child to follow their course of life based on their needs, their insecurities, their own self-esteem issues, versus an awakened parent who raises an emotionally intelligent child that does not depend on anybody else for their emotions. They don't get affected by other people's actions or circumstances or situations that happen in their life. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it with anybody else who needs to hear the difference between ego-centered parenting versus awakened parenting. I'm sending you love. I believe in you, and thank you for watching.